Support WrestleTalk!
Support each other. About 2 weeks ago, although that now feels like a few years in wrestling and real-world terms, it's like that scene in Interstellar where the people who go down to the planet only feel like they're down there for half an hour, but when they get back to the spaceship, it's been 23 years! WWE announced that Paul Heyman would be stepping down as Raw's executive director, a position he'd held since last June, to be replaced by a joint Raw and SmackDown creative team overseen by Bruce Pritchard and Vince McMahon. Backstage reports had many Raw roster members worried for their pushes, as other than Drew McIntyre and the Street Profits, all the other Paul Heyman guys and girls, like Shayna Baszler, Aleister Black, Buddy Murphy, Angel Garza, and more, would no longer be under Heyman's creative direction that was focused on pushing new, young talent. And one of those names was Liv Morgan. Morgan never really clicked with a gimmick in Heyman's run, first being teased for a reinvention late last year, to oddly re-debut in December, revealing she's in love with Lana during the Bobby Lashley wedding segment, to have that completely dropped. You know what, maybe Heyman's ideas weren't all that great. And while she's picked up quite a few victories since WrestleMania, she's struggled to settle on a character. Unless you count her literally saying into the camera, "I don't know who I am as a character," which I don't. WWE creative really should have figured something out by now. And that frustration appears to have bubbled over on Liv's social media, as she's passive-aggressively tweeted about her 1-minute submission loss to Natalya from Monday's episode. "Thank you for posting photos of what you cut out of my match, I guess. Appreciate it, WWE," along with 2 images from WWE's official website gallery of the show, revealing some pretty cool womaneuvers. Equality. Because Monday's episode of Raw was actually taped last week, as WWE are doing all their TV tapings in fortnightly batches, they are able to edit down matches however they see fit, even when it arguably undermines the stories they're trying to tell, which is reportedly exactly what McMahon and Pritchard are trying to do. One of the many reported reasons Heyman was removed from his executive director position was because of Raw's stint of record low ratings, which is kind of understandable when you consider how Heyman actually outlined that would happen from the start, as he wanted at least 18 months of rebuilding the roster, that the USA Network were on board with this plan, and, I don't know, the unprecedented effects of a worldwide pandemic. Following backlash, Wrestling Observer Radio notes that Pritchard and McMahon are now booking Raw for ratings each week, instead of rebuilding for the future, which can be seen in a reliance of legends from the past, like Big Show, Ric Flair and Christian, the haphazard
Championship Monday
gimmick from this week, where all the titles were on the line without any build, and the much shorter matches for everyone, not just Morgan. Because why would you want wrestling on a wrestling show? Under Heyman, we would see at least 1 match a week go for about 20 minutes. This week, even with titles on the line, no match went over half that time, with most just going a few minutes. For now though, that approach has held the ratings steady, with Monday's episode drawing 1.92 million viewers, only slightly down from last week's 1.93, both higher than the 1.75 million viewer average Heyman's reign was drawing near the end. Before we get on with the rest of the news, I'd like to say a big thank you to this episode's sponsor, Surfshark VPN. But what is a VPN, you might ask? It's a virtual private network, which means your smartphone, laptop, tablet, whatever can trick the internet into thinking it's somewhere else. Where are you, Luke?
Well, my laptop thinks I'm in America, where I'm watching US Netflix, which is way better than the UK one, but I'm actually in West London.
And you, Pete?
Even though
I've ran out of time for Pete. But for you, yes you, I'll bet you've got a lot of time right now in self-isolation. So get yourself Surfshark VPN using our special links below, because then you'll have access to an entire world of content by kicking geo-blocking in the butt. And for all our American viewers, you can use it to access BBC iPlayer to watch all our ridiculously short-lived comedy series. How have we only got 14 episodes of The Office? Make sure to use our promo code WrestleTalk too, because that gets you a massive 85% off and 3 months free. Surfshark are really helping support us here at WrestleTalk during these hard times. So please at least click the link below and check them out. I've genuinely been trying for almost a year to access the DC Universe app that's only available in the States right now, because I'm a DC Comics guy deep down. I love you too, Marvel, don't hate. And thanks to Surfshark, I've finally been able to make it work, and I'm currently reading the Death of Superman storyline from the early 90s. It's so sad. But back to WWE and their very sudden problem with the women's division. Just last April, WrestleMania 35 was main evented by a women's match for the first time ever, with Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey competing in a triple threat for both the Raw and SmackDown titles. While we always knew Ronda would be stepping away from WWE following her debut 12-month run, nobody suspected that just over a year later, both Charlotte and Becky would be out of action indefinitely too. Lynch announced just last month that she is pregnant and that she would be going on an indefinite hiatus from wrestling. She even suggested in interviews later on that might be permanent, admitting she'd revisit her priorities once her child is born. Amidst reports, there is a lot of acting work available for her. And on this Monday's Raw, Charlotte was written off TV after being attacked by Nia Jax, although Charlotte didn't really sell it like that. While WWE.com have kayfabe reported the injury as a potential collarbone fracture, conflicting reports are coming out about what's going on backstage. Dave Meltzer has reported on Wrestling Observer Radio that this angle was done to write Charlotte off TV as she's scheduled to have surgery, and that it was hinted she could return at SummerSlam, but that's not 100%. But then Alex McCarthy of TalkSport has reported there is a 0% chance Charlotte returns for SummerSlam, with the idea is that she will return around Royal Rumble season next year, but if a good story pops up before then, around Survivor Series, she would be open to return later this year. Additionally, McCarthy notes she is going to be taking some personal time and having some surgery. While I've joked about the Omni Flair being overexposed on WWE TV, especially during her NXT Championship run that ultimately led to nothing and undermined the brand's women's roster, this leaves WWE without two of their top stars, Charlotte and Becky, which they've spent the last several years building the division almost exclusively around. How do you think WWE should rebuild their women's division now? Let me know in the comments, because I'll be replying to people from out of anywhere in the world I like, thanks to Surfshark VPN. Thanks for your support on Patreon, the Snapdragon King Ryo Aldonte, and you're a wizard, Harry Burgess. The last 24 hours has seen even more accusations and statements issued in the Speaking Out movement on Twitter, exposing the toxic culture in the wrestling industry. As these are very serious accusations, we will only be covering those who have had statements made in reply from either the person in question, a company they work for, or the police. Here are the latest developments. After being accused by multiple women of sexual harassment and assault, Austin Aries has denied the allegations in a statement. "I have to be transparent, and I have to be honest about my own successes and failures in this space. I certainly haven't lived a flawless life. I haven't always said the right thing or made the right choice, whether professionally or personally. But let me be clear. I know who I am and who I'm not. I am not a sexual predator. I'm not a user. I am not an abuser." A similar sentiment was also shared by Saraya Knight, the mother of Paige, who, along with the rest of her family, was accused of physical and psychological abuse. Knight denied the allegations before removing all of her social media accounts. "I am walking away because I am heartbroken, not because I'm being forced to. I cannot stomach even being around wrestling." Former NWA Vice President Dave Lagana, who resigned from the position following accusations of sexual assault from indie wrestler Liz Savage, has released a statement of his own. "Her claim that I made a non-consensual move on her while we shared a bed is false. I did not touch her in the way she claimed. I never touched her like that, and I never would have." However, author of Ring of Hell, Matthew Randazzo, has backed the accusations, saying that an AEW executive also had a run-in with Lagana. And David Bixenspan has shared an interview clip with Paul London and Brian Kendrick from 2010 that seems to show them confirming Lagana was fired from WWE in 2008 due to sexual misconduct. Marty Scurll has also issued a statement reading, "Although I truly believe that our encounter that evening was consensual and the fact that encounter was legal, is almost not the point. I understand that she now views our encounter as part of a bigger problem within the wrestling community, showing that men can be victims of sexual assault too. Current NXT North American champion Keith Lee has admirably also shared his story on Twitter, writing how one night he believes he was drugged while in a bar and waking up in the morning with all his clothes removed and no memory of the night before. To this day, I know not what happened. I have tried to forget about it ever since, but I tell this story so people understand. Anyone can be a victim. Anyone. Leanne Marie and Sierra Loxton, who have been dealing with the UK police on accusations in the BritWres scene, will be hosting an Instagram live stream later today at 8 PM UK time, 3 PM EST, 12 PM PST, discussing the Speaking Out movement and the next steps that need to be taken. Sammy Guevara has been suspended by AEW. Check out the details by pressing the video to the right, and press the video below that to watch mine and Luke's thoughts on Charlotte Flair's injury. Please do also check out Surfshark VPN using our links below, as it really helps support the channel. I've been Ollie Davis, and that was wrestling.